Okay, so one thing I need to do, got a couple parts in today. As you know, I got the block pretty much back together. I just gotta start working on getting my valve lash, the cams and stuff in. So got my stock buckets over here. Took them out, I labeled them. I'm gonna go through and try to get the measurements for each shim. And I'll notate them down and then put them on and put the cams on and kind of see what my lash is at, see if I'm good or not, or whether I need to reorder shims. I did get my BC cams in today, so I'm gonna use those since those are gonna be what I'm running to make sure that my valve lash is right. So I'm gonna start by getting these shims taken down or removed and measured. I don't have a caliper, I have a micrometer. So I'm gonna see how accurate this is. But we'll see. Like I said, once I get the buckets in and the cams on and I check with the lash, that'll tell me, you know, how off it is or whether I need to get different shims. Okay, I just want to show you guys one other mod I made. One thing I wanted to do was eliminate this tube. Normally, button up right there with a gasket and run through here. But it's kind of got the pipe angled up here. And like I said, I could attach a rubber hose to it and route it the way I want it, but I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate that. So what I did was, once again, using my half-inch NPT drill and tap. I just went ahead and drilled out the hole. It was actually pretty much, I didn't even have to drill it at all, actually, because it was just the perfect size. So all I had to do was stick the tap in there and start tapping it out. And, you know, I could attach something like this. I'm gonna attach an AN line, but essentially it'll be a screw in just like this, but an AN fitting on this side. And then I can run a stainless steel hose wherever I wanna route it. Not to mention that a dash 12 will be the same size, if not bigger. Because I think this piece is a little smaller than a dash 12. So that should actually give me a little more flow. Same as I did up here. So I already have my piece coming for this. I have a dash 12 here for the outlet, and then I have a dash 12 here. And of course I have both of them run with either some nylon or stainless steel braided lines going to wherever I need them to go. All right, I got my half-inch NTP to 12 AN fitting in. See that straight through design. As you see, this is the stock tubing, which is actually that half-inch NTP size. It's the exact same hole size. So now I can do away with this, do away with that pipe and thread in my AN fitting. Kind of had a versatility of running the lines how I want to. It came in clear aluminum, bare aluminum. I tried to paint it at least to kind of cover it a little bit. I'm sure I didn't think about putting that on there before. I had to actually tighten it, so that's probably gonna come off, but I'll repaint it back later. But say this is good fitting. Like I say, it's a great straight through flow. That's why I got this from ICT Billet. I like their product. So put that in there, put a little thread locker or thread sealing on it, and we good to go. Just want to show you guys, this is the piece I had, the 12 AN piece I had come in to fit in here. I didn't get one that mounts flush because it was going to be kind of difficult to get a wrench on there, so that's why I kind of got this extended one. It's 12 AN, the other side did seem a little bit smaller, so I kind of drilled it out to match. I cleaned it up, tried to paint over any little scuffs I had on it. So I'm gonna put that in there, put a little thread seal on it, make sure it doesn't leak. Have this little piece in there. Now I can have my AN fitting, and I should have enough room between the valve covers to screw that on. I tried to trim a little bit here to make sure if it went down low enough that it wouldn't actually contact, but it's in there. It's a nice 12 AN piece here, my water outlet. So I'm gonna start, this is my intake number 1 bucket. So if you go intake side, it's number 1 spring. That's how I label them 1 through 12 for each side. I'm gonna start by Getting the shim out of here. You see the shim just kind of sits in the top of this bucket. Kind of gives you the proper valve latches. Literally just the bucket, and that little point in the middle is what hits the top of the valve to push it down when the cam hits the top of the bucket where the shim is. So never taken these off before, so we'll see his little slot here. I'm gonna try to use a little flat screwdriver to kind of pry it out. All right, took a little coaxing, but I got it out. There's a little dot on the opposite side, so I need to make sure this goes face down and match that hole. So I'm gonna get my dial caliper. Let me see, I'm gonna try to clean it. So all right, got it all the way closed. Dial caliper's all the way closed at 0. I'm gonna 0 it out just again to make sure. It's in inches, I'm gonna go to millimeters. And then see what size shim this is. So I'm getting 2.75, pretty much 2.74. I'm gonna measure different parts of it just to make sure it's all the same. 2.74. All right, it says 2.73. Just kind of rotating it around just to make sure. 2.73. All right, so I think I'm gonna go with 2.73. That's kind of what I'm getting. So number one shim is 2.73. So I got that notated. I'm gonna clean these up, so I'm not gonna sit it back in there. Sit this over here. You say that's one. I'm gonna move on. Actually, I'm gonna do all intakes first. Already notated. Intake 1, 2.73 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest. I got done measuring them all out. Got everything written down. Few of them are the same. A lot of them are different. But hopefully if I do have any issues putting together the engine, as far as valve lash, maybe if one's tight and one's loose, you know, I can swap the two shims and that'll get me within the clearance that I need. And there's my camshafts that came today. I got the stage 3 cams. This is for the VVTi. So one's the VVTi. Everything comes nicely packaged. I noticed the cam lash that they recommend is 0.008 or 8 thousandths on the intake, 10 thousandths on their exhaust side, which is within the normal Toyota specs. So like I said, hopefully if I do have any issues, I can kind of maybe mix and match to get it to fall within there. Like I said, I'm not sure if it needs to be, if I'm, you know, 1 thousandth off high or low. I'm not too worried about that. It's still within the normal Toyota specs, but I would like to get as close to this clearance as possible. Okay, got my BC cam, my new BC stage 3 cam here. There's intake, it's the stock. You can kind of see, especially here, on this low, this one's a lot more pointy. Sharp. This one kind of has a longer duration. You see that? It's a nice, more gradual curve to it. I say these are straight. This is was packaged great. Of course, I gotta clean up all that stuff that's on there. Need that kind of oil residue they had on there to protect it. Gotta clean that up. I'll do the same with the exhaust side. I'm gonna package these stock ones back up in the box that these BCs came out of. And then I'm gonna go ahead and throw the buckets back in. I already kind of pre-lubed everything up. I know this isn't gonna be the final install, but like I say, there's no oil, the engine's not running, so I just put some assembly lube there from when I'm rotating to check the different valve lashes. Got a little dot on the top of each valve too for the buckets. I'm gonna oil the buckets a little bit so they slide in and I put them in. Okay, so I went ahead and laid the cams in there. I'm gonna put the front cap, the main cap, so I'm not gonna put the front ones on because I'm just trying to get the lobes. Of course, you know it's not gonna be on there flush at first. Kind of gotta work it down. Being very careful doing one turn at a time pretty much, because don't want to break the camshaft. Okay, got the cams in, cam caps tightened down. I just lubed up for now. I'm gonna take everything off, clean it back up once I'm done, but I just didn't want it to be turning it dry because I'll need to get pretty much, because the cam buckets kind of come out at a slight angle on each side. What I have to do is get the lobes pretty much pointed away from the buckets almost exactly like this one is. See, it's not perfectly straight up. It has a slight angle to it, and that's kind of the angle the bucket comes. So I'm gonna get them all like that. And then what I'll do is take my feeler gauge, and I'll figure out what I did with it. Anyway, you take a feeler gauge, and let me get the light on this side, maybe you can see it a little bit better. There you go. So you get the feeler gauge, you stick it down between the bucket and the back side of the cam, and that's where you're checking for your gap for your valve clearance. And of course, like I said, intake side here is 0.008, so 8,000, and then 10,000 on the 10,000 on the intake side, on the exhaust side, excuse me. And of course, that's cold. So I go through, set all those up, get my measurements. So even if they aren't in specs, I'll kind of get the measurements for what they are. And that'll kind of let me know what I need to add or subtract from the shim to get it to work properly with the setup and be within specs. Okay, get ready to check my valve clearances. Once again, BC, they recommend 0.08 of an inch on the intake, 0.10 of an inch on the exhaust. The stock is 6 thousandths to 10 thousandths on the intake and 10 thousandths to 14 thousandths on the exhaust. So I'm gonna start aiming for the 8 thousandths. I'm gonna check the intake side first. Actually, I'm gonna check the exhaust side first. So I'm looking for 10 thousandths. This isn't it. Hang on. All right. Got my 10 thousandths feeler gauge. And like I say, as far as the exhaust side, it was 10 thousandths to 14 thousandths. So I would probably rather have it more loose than tight, just because at least then the valves won't be open. It just may be not opening as full as they could. So you should just gonna stick it in here and should have light resistance. We'll see. Oh, that felt pretty good. That's almost perfect. Same here. So I'm good on that one. Now I just have to rotate each cam lobe to get it up. So like I say, make sure it's, I guess you can do straight up if you want, but I try to do kind of angle width of the actual bucket. So like I say, that goes in. I got like a little light resistance, but not much. I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna rotate these over and I'll put you guys on a time lapse and I'll go through the exhaust side and come over to the intake side. Okay, so I got all my measurements down. Sorry, my hands were oily and stuff, so I know that's kind of hard to read. So pretty much intake side, if I'm going by the actual normal Toyota specs, it's 6,000 to 10,000. I pretty much can switch these around and make it. I only had buckets, 4 and 5 that were, I measured 5,000. All the other ones were good. Biggest one was one bucket, which is 9,000. So I can actually switch those around and get it within the normal Toyota specs, maybe even closer with a little bit of mixing and matching. Like I said, BC recommends 10 thousandths. So we'll see. I may have to order some shims. As far as this is the intake side. They recommend 8 thousandths, for the intake side. So you see, I'm pretty close there. And like I say, the lowest spec for the normal is 6 thousandths. So if I switch a couple of those around, I should be able to get right around 8,000, maybe 8 thousandths. If I get 7 thousandths, I can live with that. That's still within the normal specs, 1 thousandths off of the BC. The exhaust is 10 thousandths for BC. You see most of them I know this is scratch, it's pretty much 10 thousandths, almost exactly. Exhaust, or the bucket for 12 and 11 were the two biggest at 11 and 12. So I can swap those with 3 and 4. 3 is 8 thousandths. I'll swap that with the 12. That should be 10 even. I can swap 11 with 4. That should be 10 even. I had one that was, which is 5, which is 9 thousandths. I may get a bucket for that one, a shim for that one though, because 10 thousandths is the lowest spec for the normal stock cams as well as the BC. So I'm gonna do some mixing and matching here, and then I'll remeasure and see what I get. All right, so I should be able to finish this today. I had a few shims I had to order. So I went in and ordered these. I got these from the Yoda shop. I pretty much got two 2.8s, 2.85, and then a 2.75. Like I say, the intake side, The normal stock is was 6,000s to 10,000s. Most of them were hitting right at 7 or 8, so that's the intake side out. I live with that. I know the BC recommended 8, but like I say, the stock Toyotas can go down to 6 at least. But I'll take, if it's 7,000s, a smooth 7,000s with the filler gauge, I'll live with that. However, the exhaust side, BC recommended 10,000, and also the minimum for the normal stock Toyota cams are 10,000 minimum, 14,000 in the upper limit. So I had a few that were below that, so that's why I had to order those shims. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those swapped out, and then I'll come back from there. We should be able to get the cams on, get everything torqued down, sealed up here, and start actually putting this thing together. Maybe we can get it timed and everything. All right, getting ready to put these valve covers on. I got the gear on. I got both torque, but I realized this VVTi gear is cracked in here. I don't know if you can see it. I may have to take it off to see, but this gear is a crack right there. You see at 3 o'clock. So I gotta get a new VVTi gear. That's no biggie though. I got a new VVTi gear. This is the Gates belt, timing belt. So it's kind of what it looked like. I'm just trying to mock up and see what it will look like in the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the valve covers on. I put a dab of silicone right there on these corners where number 1 cap meets on both intake and exhaust. I got the gasket in here. It's 2 in the set. They only fit, they're specific to which side, but you'll see because of this little, where it curves out here on this hunch. The intake side, I have a different curve from the exhaust. So, see, other than that, it's just like a straight. So yeah, these 2 hunches on that side. So that's how you know what fits. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these both on, and we'll see what we look like.